You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Two Rams assistant coaches reportedly are the first coaches to get interview requests from the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are the 9th NFL team looking for a new head coach after Mike Tomlin announced his resignation Tuesday morning. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, the Steelers have asked for permission to talk with Rams passing game coordinator Nate Shellhouse and defensive coordinator Chris Shula. Both coaches are busy this week preparing for the Rams playoff game Sunday at Chicago. Tomlin is the most successful African-American head coach in NFL history. His 201 victories in 19 seasons with the Steelers are the third most wins for an NFL head coach since 2007. The two guys ahead of Tomlin are former New England coach Bill Belichick and Kansas City coach Andy Reid. Tomlin led the Steelers to a Super Bowl win in 2008 and 8 AFC North titles. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
At the tone, please record your message.
You ready?
Drop it!
Mr. Tavis Smiley, preach it. Thank you, man. Politics in this country is crazy. You put things in perspective that even I didn't. The right is playing fast and loose with facts and scapegoating everyone under the sun, especially black and brown people. As a white man, I do not agree with this, and I am on my black and brown brothers and sisters' side. Fight the good fight. You know that I am part of the resistance. Let's fight the power.
Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Oh, 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 come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA, Talk 1580, download the app.
Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It is Thought-Provoking Thursday. It is Wealthy Wednesdays with Dr. P.L. De Silva, where we will be in the World House and worldwide with P.L. De Silva. Dr. De Silva has over 20 years' experience in backroom diplomacy, mediation, and negotiation. He has taught politics, international relations in several graduate, undergraduate programs at universities in New York, New Jersey, Long Island, and Queen's University in Belfast in Northern Ireland. Dr. De Silva's publications include Postmodern Insurgencies, Political Violence, Identity Formation, and Peacemaking in Comparative Perspective. He is the co-founder with Professor W.D. Lakshman, former Vice Chancellor of the University of Colombo, of the International War-Related Trauma and Humanitarian Intervention Trust, setting up psychosocial training programs for practitioners serving combatants, non-combatants during the Sri Lanka Civil War. Dr. De Silva, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Very good to be on the show, Jesse.
I'm particularly honored that you are here today and so grateful. Dr. De Silva, so much is going on in the world, and I know that I'm going to be bringing our guest up in just a moment, but I want to get your initial take on what's taking place. The Danish Prime Minister, as well as the Foreign Minister of Greenland, met with the President of the United States today, along with Marco Rubio, around, at least from my perspective, the outlandish idea that the President of the United States wants to add the Greenland territory to the United States of America. Your initial thoughts?
Yes, it's extremely worrying, and we could actually see the dismantling of NATO if actually U.S. troops move to take, military control of Greenland. There are U.S. troops, small number of troops in the U.S. space program in Nuuk, north of Nuuk, which is the capital of Iceland, and I'm wondering, because my question is, who would benefit if NATO collapses? That's the question I want to leave our audience with. Who would benefit? Who would be happy to see NATO disappear? Because if the US and European allies start squabbling over Greenland, that will be the net outcome.
Only Vladimir Putin would be the beneficiary of the collapse of the North American Treaty Organization. That's my opinion, but I'm sure we'll delve into it further. Dr. De Silva has brought with him a very special guest. Dr. Hania de Kock is the head of the Policy and Liaison Unit with the United Nations Population Fund Humanitarian Office. Dr. de Kock provides UNFPA country and regional office with advice on policy coordination and technical support related to humanitarian preparedness, emergency response, disaster risk reduction, recovery, and resilience. Her goal and role is to advance gender equality, to promote sexual and reproductive health and rights, including menstrual health, mental health, and psychosocial support, and to prevent and respond to gender-based violence issues in humanitarian settings and across humanitarian development and peace nexus. Before joining the UN in June of 2004, Dr. de Kock was the field director, or the director of relief and development programs with the International Medical Corps. She managed and developed the technical aspect of service delivery programming to improve quality of care within IAM's global programs in relief and development settings throughout Africa, Central Asia, Middle East, Southeast Asia. She's also worked as technical advisor for the Reproductive Health in the Conflict Consortium, providing technical advice and training to projects implemented in 9 countries across conflict and post-conflict situations around the globe. Dr. de Kock, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show and the great Dr. P.L. De Silva.
Hey, thank you, Jesse, and thank you, P.L. I really enjoy having both of you and listening to both of you, because you also bring a lot of good perspectives. Thank you so much for hosting me.
Dr. de Kock, I know we're going to get into some more critical issues when we come forward after our break, but we have about a minute and 30 seconds. I'd like to pose the same question to you. Your thoughts about the United States and its idea that somehow Greenland is a territory that it must have as part of our regional security?
I think it's a very difficult question at the moment, because there is some sort of, a world order at the moment. And this world order is collapsing. This is what it is, sovereignty of states, all of this, the NATO issues. Again, most probably also Vladimir Putin will be very happy to see NATO collapse. So I think it's very difficult to really understand what is the end game of this. What is behind all of this. In the end of the day, we want to see prosperity for all, and it is definitely, the trade issues are going to be very, very difficult with this type of situation where you have one country overseeing the global order.
I'm profoundly struck by it, and I see one long story that President Barack Obama was obviously very concerned about, and everyone who's fought against Donald Trump, including the various investigations that he's been in, that something was afoot on a scale that we couldn't imagine, and we may be looking at it come to fruition. as we speak today. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. We have two very special guests today, Dr. P.L. De Silva and Dr. Hania DeCock. Will be more on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show when we come forward on KBLA Talk 15.
20 years in Congress, he knows how to get at the issues that matter the most to you. Every day, he takes a deep dive into politics, social justice, and the stories that shape our community. This is where prominent people unpack perplexing problems. Unfiltered, unapologetic, unmissable. You're inside the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is pleased to partner with the Empowerment Congress once again for their 34th annual summit. The summit's theme is From Vision to Action, a forum to unlock participatory democracy, and will feature a nonpartisan gubernatorial candidate forum focused on issues of importance to the African American community. The summit is the signature public policy-oriented observance of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy during the national 3-day holiday weekend that celebrates his life. This year's summit will be held on Saturday, January 17th, 2026 at the California Science Center in Exposition Park from 9 to 11 a.m. Admission is free, but registration is required at KBLA1580.com. All major announced candidates for California governor for the Democratic and Republican Party nominations have been invited to participate in the candidate forum, which will be moderated by Tavis Smiley. An all-star panel of journalists will pose questions to the candidates, and the forum will be broadcast live on KBLA Talk 1580. This is going to be a big year for local, state, and national politics. The political pulse of 2026 beats on KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on Worldwide with P.L. De Silva and our very special guest, Dr. Hania DeCock. And I wanted to ask, let me first set the stage. The United Nations Relief and Workers Agency for Palestinian Refugees in the Near East, or better known by its acronym UNRWA, is a UN agency established in 1949 to provide humanitarian aid and development assistance to Palestinian refugees in the Middle East, supporting millions with education, healthcare, and social services in the Gaza the West Bank, Jordan, Lebanon, and Syria, funded primarily by voluntary contributions from UN member states. What they do, they provide primary and vocational education, they deliver primary healthcare services, offer a social safety net, food assistance, and emergency support. They provide infrastructure by improving camps and essential infrastructure, and microfinance by providing small loans to refugees. And I wanted to talk with Dr. DeCock about the practical issues facing UNRW and other UN agencies when delivering humanitarian aid and assistance in the Gaza. Dr. DeCock, this is our longest segment, about 20 minutes. Please take your time and share with us your thoughts.
Thank you, Jesse. I think UNRWA is facing a lot of challenges, especially in Gaza and the West Bank and East Jerusalem. So, as you know, UNRWA, or UN Refugee Work Agency for Palestinians, has been established since 1949, and it actually serves around 5.9 million Palestinian refugees across the globe. So it's not only that they are in West Bank, Gaza, and Jerusalem, they also support programs in Jordan and in Lebanon and in Syria. And so there is so many refugee camps still around the world in this until this moment that are, they were born from refugees, and they are the offsprings of refugees. So it's never going to go away. It's there is a right issue. There is a right for these people to have support based on the UN resolution, General Assembly resolution in 1949. And it is not only that they do the medical services or the health services, they also do food distribution. And since, since January, they haven't been able to do any food distribution in Gaza, for example. This just gives you an example of the magnitude of problems that Palestinian refugees in Gaza are facing. And Gaza is 75% of the population of Gaza is refugees also. So it's not only that there are population who is indigenous to Gaza, but there are refugees from 1948 who are still in Gaza and Gaza Strip who are living there. And they are now the 2 million that have been, bombarded nonstop for the last 2 years, 800 and something days of bombardment, and some yellow lines and green lines here and green lines there. They are not getting humanitarian assistance as they should be.
And let me ask a quick question, if I might. You're and then just for clarity, you're saying that there are refugees within the Gaza Strip who are Gazans, but you're also suggesting that the global diaspora has also absorbed in camps Palestinians, or specifically Gazans, who may outnumber the actual number of Gazans who are in the Gaza Strip, who are actually in refugee camps around the world.
Yes, they do. For example, let me give you an example. There were a lot of Gazan in Libya before the Libya crisis, and they were stuck. That nobody wanted them. They were not Egypt will not allow them in, and they will not be able to go to Gaza because Israel will not allow them in. So they were stuck in refugee camps for a long period of time.
Dr. De Silva?
Yes. So Dr. DeCock is born and bred in Jerusalem. She's from Jerusalem. She's a Palestinian. She studied her medicine in Donetsk in eastern Ukraine, speaks fluent Russian. She knows the humanitarian situation extremely well. And I'm very happy that she's here as somebody who has, on the ground experience to talk about the situation of the Palestinians. We need Palestinians to talk about Palestinian issues. And I'm very happy to have Dr. DeCock here with us today.
I think, Dr. DeCock, I want to add that for many of us, we all witnessed, obviously, the events that occurred on October 7th. and what they represented in terms of the war on Hamas that ensued. But the world, I don't believe, at least initially it may have, has not turned its back on the idea of the humanitarian suffering that is taking place in the Gaza for innocent civilian women and children. Can you share with us the nature of the crisis as it exists today and the concerns that you have?
You know, let me just say it's winter now in that region, okay? And you are talking about 75% of buildings and public buildings and houses have been destroyed, totally, whipped off. So people are living outside, like really under the elements of nature. So imagine when it is raining and you have children, newborns, women who are pregnant, who could be, you know what I mean, in this type of situation where water is flooding them, you know, because they are in tents and water is flooding the tents because they are almost on the brink of the water. We are talking about 2 million people living in a very, very small piece of land. And they are on top of each other, and there is no heat, there is no electricity, there is no running water. You know, everything has to be brought in, trucked in. No medication. Hospitals are barely, you know, functioning. None of them, if like even UNRWA hospitals and clinics, only 4 are functioning at the moment out of like maybe there were 27 before this crisis or 37 before this crisis. So you are talking about people in extreme, you know, like food, like insecurity, because we all have seen it's, you know, the malnutrition is skyrocketing. We are seeing women dying in childbirth when we shouldn't see any women dying in childbirth, especially that we are talking about a small piece of land. But all these, you know, security lines and incursions and attacks on healthcare workers and on humanitarian workers. Don't forget that more than 389 people were killed who are UNRWA staff in Gaza and humanitarian workers that were targeted and killed. So you are talking about, you know, like a need for more services, but the people who provide the services are limited. Plus, nothing is coming in the amount that it should come in. You know, like Gaza would need 500 trucks every day, and they are not getting even 100 trucks every day. And it has to go through security checks, and everything has to go out and then come in because everything has to be checked. You cannot even get an oxygen cylinder for a hospital to go to Gaza because it's forbidden.
Ania, let me just share with our listeners for a moment so I can help them understand exactly what you just said. The example I'm going to give you, those of you who are listening to our program today, is an imperfect example. There's no doubt about it. I'm not going to compare one group's pain or misery over and against another person's pain or misery, but I want to make it crystal clear what I think I just heard Dr. DeCock describe. She described the conditions in the Superdome during Hurricane Katrina.
Yeah.
That people are living on top of each other in the most unsanitary and unprotected of conditions. Unable to get food, unable to get a cylinder for people who cannot breathe, unable to get dialysis, unable to get medical care, pregnant women, unable to get maternal care, and the government not functioning, turning its back on people in damp, humid, wet, and even cold, in the case of Katrina, hot conditions. I wanted to bring, Ania, our listeners into the description for what they've experienced and their relatives experienced here in that small isolated space, which I saw on a documentary just a few short days ago, because I think everything that you shared with me in that description, save for the fact that the people of New Orleans were not bombed into that condition, which is even more traumatic. Go ahead, Dr. Hania. I'm sorry.
Thank you. We are talking about, catastrophic situation, really. Every UN personnel who has gone international, I'm not talking even about Palestinian, international, who gone into Gaza, they have said this is like doomsday scenario. It's like really so bad that it is impossible for anybody to understand the magnitude of the suffering that people are having to deal with. And we are talking about civilian population mostly, you know what I mean? Like as you said, Hamas is a small portion of the population. The population is Palestinian civilian population who are refugees. They are not, freedom fighters or whatever it is what we want to call it. They are civilian population. They are teachers, doctors, health workers, shopkeepers, whatever, whatever they have to do. They are farmers, agricultural workers. They are all suffering. There is not enough food in Gaza, for example, for sure. You know what I mean? There is not enough material to build also. You are talking about even getting materials for rebuilding of Gaza, which basically was promised that they will rebuild Gaza and rebuild Gaza better. There is nothing coming in. And the population is in dire need of everything. Plus, the climate condition at the moment is just dramatic. No sanitation, no medical care, no food enough, no schools working enough, because most of the schools have been destroyed, and UNRWA schools actually have been destroyed and targeted. And on top of that, even the schools that are currently available, they are hosting refugees. People are trying to stay there because at least they will be better in this type of conditions. So I really feel that we really need to focus again on Gaza, because people think, because, the ceasefire is happening, people are not being killed. People are being killed on a daily basis still at the moment. And at the same time, it's not only they are killed in Gaza, they are also killed in the West Bank. And this is going to continue, because more than 1,000 people were killed in the West Bank just, in the last 2 years since the war broke between Hamas and Israel. Over from my side.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to Worldwide with P.L. Da Silva. Our very special guest is Dr. Hania Dakak. We have more to discuss on the Jesse Jackson Jr. show regarding the condition of the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. And I'd like to also pose the question when we come forward about any reconstruction efforts, Dr. Da Silva, that might be being discussed in terms of providing the Palestinians with some level of civilized living, including but not limited to the construction or the reconstruction of the Gaza Strip on the scale that will probably require the entire world community's involvement. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Dr. P.L. Da Silva and Dr. Hania Dakak when we come forward.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. President Trump is weighing in on the fatal ICE shooting of Renee Good, saying she may have been a, quote, wonderful person, end quote, but that her actions were pretty tough and that the video could be viewed different ways.
When you look at the way that car was pulled away, there are a couple of versions of that tape that are very, very bad.
A new poll shows 53% of voters say the shooting was not justified. The National Museum of African American History and Culture is opening a new exhibit Friday honoring HBCUs. The showcase features artifacts from schools including Florida A&M University and Tuskegee University, including rare footage of George Washington Carver and early works by author Margaret Walker. And civil rights pioneer Claudette Colvin has died at 86. Colvin was arrested in 1955 for refusing to give up her seat on a segregated Montgomery bus. She later became a key plaintiff in a federal case that helped end bus segregation nationwide. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
In East LA in the 710 southbound before you get to the 5, we've got a 3-car crash blocking the left lane. It's already stop and go coming away from the 60. In Hawthorne, 105 westbound right at the 405, they just cleared a stall over the shoulder. You've got a work zone slowing you down in Studio City on the 101 southbound between Laurel Canyon Boulevard and the 134. That right lane closed till 3:30. And in Montebello, 60 eastbound after Paramount Boulevard, that crash is cleared to the shoulder.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Two Rams assistant coaches reportedly are the first coaches to get interview requests from the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are the 9th NFL team looking for a new head coach after Mike Tomlin announced his resignation Tuesday morning. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, the Steelers have asked for permission to talk with Rams passing game coordinator Nate Shellhouse and defensive coordinator Chris Shula. Both coaches are busy this week preparing for the Rams playoff game Sunday at Chicago. Tomlin is the most successful African-American head coach in NFL history. His 201 victories in 19 seasons with the Steelers are the third most wins for an NFL head coach since 2007. The two guys ahead of Tomlin are former New England coach Bill Belichick and Kansas City coach Andy Reid. Tomlin led the Steelers to a Super Bowl win in 2008 and 8 AFC North titles. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
At the tone, please record your message.
You ready?
Drop it!
Mr. Tavis Smiley, preach it. Thank you, man. Politics in this country is crazy. You put things in perspective that even I didn't. The right is playing fast and loose with facts and scapegoating everyone under the sun, especially black and brown people. As a white man, I do not agree with this, and I am on my black and brown brothers and sisters' side. Fight the good fight. You know that I am part of the resistance. Let's fight the power.
Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
My name is Tyrone Owens, and this is my home for 23 years that burned in the fire. Me and my wife, Charlene, we had this whole yard decorated every year.
This was a house that sparkled throughout the entire neighborhood on all the holidays. It's a community that will never be the same due to the negligence of a utility company. So I am pretty upset about that.
We were nowhere near being able to rebuild with our insurance. It's going to cost $1 million to put your house back up.
I want to get back to that point where we were before the fire. I'm starting to get emotional, but I'll work through it. LA Fire Justice has been wonderful for us. They're just caring people. We have all faith in them.
Big ups to LA Fire Justice, who's given us hope to rebuild 100%.
Advertisement. Douglas Foxer, 221 East Walnut Street, Suite 100, Pasadena, California, 91101 is the attorney responsible for this ad.
LA Fire Justice is proud to sponsor Conversation Live, Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on Wealthy Wednesdays. Our very special regular contributor, Dr. P.L. Da Silva, is with us, and also our very special guest, Dr. Hania Dakak. Dr. Dakak has been doing a lot of work with Palestinians. She is a Palestinian doctor, and when we think about Palestinian refugees, particularly the most vulnerable amongst the Palestinian refugees, women and children, there's also a role for the United Nations in that. I want to ask Dr. Dakak about some of the practical issues that delivering the following services are in the camps. UNFPA, the United Nations Population Fund, is the UN's sexual and reproductive health agency working globally to ensure every pregnancy is wanted, every childbirth is safe, and every young person's potential is fulfilled by providing reproductive health services, promoting gender equality, and addressing population issues like family planning, maternal health, and gender-based violence. Established in 1969, it supports countries in improving reproductive health, collecting population data, and empowering women and youth with goals including preventable maternal deaths and harmful practices like FGM and child marriage. I'm wondering, Dr. Dakak, what some of the practical issues are that UNFPA needs to overcome to deliver reproductive and midwifery health services to Palestinian women.
Thank you, Jesse. There are many elements that UNFPA provide in humanitarian setting, like maternal services, for example, making sure that women can deliver safely and with no infection, and being able to get life-saving emergency obstetric care. So we work on many levels. So at the level of, like, let us say, a midwife supporting a woman in childbirth, plus, making sure that if the woman has complicated pregnancy and need to deliver urgently, then there is emergency obstetric care available so that we can do a cesarean section and be able to deliver the baby safely and also save the woman's life. So for UNFPA, getting the medical supplies in and having the trained personnel are very, very essential. They are really life-saving in that sense. So even the basics at the moment are not available in Gaza. So it's very important that UNFPA gets all these supplies inside Gaza in order to basically be able to save lives, the woman's life and the child lives. But at the same time, there are maybe women who don't want to have kids at this moment. So that's at the same time, if the woman needs a family planning device or tablets or pills, that the pills are available and it's available for them. if we are talking about women who are, like exposed to sexual violence or gender-based violence, they have to have the minimum, elements of making sure that we stop any infection from happening, making sure that, we provide prophylaxis for HIV, AIDS, all of these things, that needs to be provided, plus provide psychosocial support and psychological care for these women. And this process is not going to be 1 day, 2 days, or one time. It has to be continuous for a period of time in order to ensure that these women have the care they need. So definitely we support medical doctors, health professionals, personnel, midwives, nurses, in order to do their work. We support mobile health teams. At the moment, as you know, all the health facilities have been destroyed or, totally functioning at the moment. So we are doing mobile teams that goes out and support the women and really provide maternal health and newborn health. Because also, look, don't forget that a lot of the newborns need attention also, because otherwise they will die from, currently because of the weather, they will die from hypothermia, from something which basically should not happen in this time and age, that we have children dying from hypothermia, or because they got an infection and they have tetanus or something like that. So we need to make sure that these supplies are available. And so UNFPA provide emergency reproductive health kits, which are pre-positioned. They are pre-positioned, they are big kits. They are not small things that you carry on. They are really 1 ton type of like big supplies, everything that you need for a C-section, everything that you need to resuscitate the baby, incubators, ultrasounds, all of this type of things that you would enable medical personnel to provide the support. IV fluids, all of this, antibiotics for dealing with any infections, all of this needs to be provided for women in this type of situation. So it's very important that we deal with all of this. At the same time, we prevent sexual violence and gender-based violence from happening.
Yale?
Yes, so I want to answer the question that you asked me in the previous segment. So Gaza's reconstruction is a monumental, decades-long challenge, and it's facing immense rubble, the clearing of rubble. There's more than 50 million tons of rubble which are laced with explosives. That has to be cleared, okay? That's going to take a long time. You can't snap your fingers in the White House and think that it's going to get done. No, it's going to take a long, long time. Can you imagine? More than 50 million tons. Nice. Then there's a massive funding need. The estimation is more than $70 billion is needed. And because of the severe infrastructure damage, right? And the restricted aid access, which Dr. Henia was talking about, and the political instability caused by the Israelis, with urgent need, as she said, for shelter, food, water, sanitation, and medical care. So these are the hurdles that need to be overcome. Also, security concerns for Palestinians who are getting killed every day, despite the so-called ceasefire, and governance issues. Who's going to take over and run Gaza? These are critical issues that need to be taken into account. And we have to start, initially, the massive debris removal and the temporary housing that's needed, okay? And these are the immediate focus. And then the long-term rebuilding faces major roadblocks and debates put forward by the Israelis and an unhelpful Trump administration. So if you look at the housing crisis, over 60% of housing is destroyed and beyond repair. It has displaced nearly 2 million people into inadequate tents and shelters. And this is according to a RAND report, the IRC, International Rescue Committee, and Dr. Henia Dakak, who has been on the ground. The rubble, as I said, is millions of tons of debris laced with unexploded ordnance. It must be cleared, a process that alone could take years. And that is said by the Brookings Institute and UN sources, right? And then the infrastructure collapse, the critical systems for water, sanitation, electricity, healthcare, and education, that needs to be rebuilt.
Yeah.
So it's just terrible. It's horrendous what the Palestinians have been subjected to.
We're going to pick back up on this when we come forward. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. You're listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward on KBLA.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Join Ignited Light at the 10th Annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day of Service, Saturday, January 17th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at Holman United Methodist Church, 3320 West Adams Boulevard, west of Arlington. This service for humanity brings together community providers offering free food and clothing, medical screenings, legal, dental, academic, and career services, plus vaccinations, flu shots, HIV and STD testing, and blood pressure checks. All are welcome. That's January 17th at Holman United Methodist Church. For more information, go to adayon.org. That's adayon.org.
Did you know that streaming music, ebooks, audiobooks, movies, and more is available for free from the Los Angeles Public Library? With your library card, you can access the latest music and movies, audiobooks and ebooks, graphic novels, comic books, magazines, and more. If you don't have a library card and live in the city of Los Angeles, you can get a digital card online for free. Check it out at lapl.org/emedia. That's lapl.org/emedia.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. This is Worldwide with P.L. Da Silva. Dr. P.L. Da Silva is a scholar, a operative within various backroom diplomatic relationships across the entire globe, resolving conflict bringing people together and doing the necessary legwork that oftentimes people don't get credit for. I'm particularly honored on this particular session of our show that Dr. Hania DeCock, one of his close and dear friends, is with us on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Dr. De Silva and Dr. DeCock, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you. Thank you, Jesse. Thank you. Jesse, I'd like to say something.
You were saying something about Reconstruction. You were finishing your Reconstruction.
That's right. So I want to give you a sense of the time frame, right? Experts in Reconstruction are predicting that it could take over 80 years in total. So between 16 to 80 years. That's the time frame for Reconstruction.
80 years?
You and I will be dead and gone by then. 16 to 80 years.
I plan to be here, PL.
I'm telling you, that's how long it's going to take. And if you look at the cost, it's suggesting that it's 70 billion and 15 billion is just for housing. And the immediate stuff that needs to do is to remove the debris, okay? Give cash for work for people, right? Because they have no money. And establish temporary housing, they require stability and cooperation. The long-term vision is, as I said, 16 to 80 years. And that is the scenario that we have faced. That's the terrible cruelty that has been done to the Palestinian people, the original people in Palestine.
You know, in this moment, I'm thinking that given what Jared Kushner has said and what the president has spoken to on occasion, it's clear increasingly, PL, that this was deliberate, that the destruction of infrastructure for the Palestinian people was to essentially annex the Gaza into the state of Israel.
Yes,
and relocate the Palestinians altogether. Your thoughts on that extreme example?
They want to create an exodus, but an exodus of the Palestinians out of their original homeland, Palestine. And that's what has happened since 1948. We have had various episodic issues of violence against the Palestinian to depopulate Palestine. Because if you give the same right of return that Israelis have to come back to Israel, if you give that to the Palestinians would be, by and large, the majority of the people who return. They have more family, but the Israelis don't give Palestinians the right of return. And this is part of the problem. These are huge structural problems, and the Israelis are not respecting international law or the United Nations, and the United States has been aiding and abetting them together with their European allies ever since Israel was established. Why should the Palestinians pay for the guilt of the Europeans for the Holocaust? The Palestinians had nothing to do with the Holocaust or the Nazis or the terrible things that were done to Jews in Europe.
I am completely struck just by the length of time that is required in order to reconstruct what has taken place systematically in the Gaza. I'm going to have to reflect on it for quite some time. Dr. DeCock, is there anything else that you want to add that our listeners should understand about the nature of the crisis?
I think at the moment, people really should watch what's happening in Gaza currently and continue supporting people to really be able to reconstruct and rebuild Gaza. Gaza is one of the oldest ancient cities in the world. You know what I mean? It has Christian, Muslim, and Jews. People who lived there for centuries. And it's very important that a cultural city like Gaza should go to ruins the way we have seen it. And I think what we need is hope for peace, hope for reconstruction, people being able to live safely and rebuild. Because at the moment, there is no place is safe in Gaza. There is no place is safe. You have drones over the people's head on a daily basis. People could not sleep during the attacks because of the drones. So imagine, it's a technological war. It's not only a war because of like the bombs, and it's a technological, like they could target any person now through the cell phone, through messages, all of that. It's very, very difficult for people to live unless they feel some sort of safety. And at the same time, people don't want to leave Gaza. They really want to remain, they want to rebuild, and they want to live in peace and safely. And we cannot do that if this is going to continue being, there is a yellow line, and you don't know where's that yellow line ends or start, because nobody can see it. There is no lines. It's a line that is drawn on a daily basis based on different intelligence, and it's really becoming very, very difficult for people. And I want people to not forget there is also the West Bank. It's not the annexation of Gaza. It's what's happening in the West Bank at the moment, and what's happening even in Jerusalem. So recently, a clinic that is supported by UNRWA, it's an UNRWA clinic, a UN clinic, actually was shut down in Jerusalem. And was not being able to support the refugees who are living in the surrounding of Jerusalem area. So this is just to give you an example of the daily struggles that people are living. There is checkpoints everywhere. People cannot move from one place to another. People have been pushed out different times. They have people are pushed out from Jenin refugee camp, from Tulkarem refugee camps. So it's not about, only Gaza. I think people need to really open their eyes and see what's happening to the Palestinian across Jerusalem, West Bank, and Gaza. Thank you.
Including the settlements. I do want to ask this question. I know that we have about 3 minutes before we come forward, and I think PL or maybe even Ania will be with us for just another moment or so in the next segment. What about the security concerns on the ground? Now that much of the conflict, at least as I understand it, is over, and it seems to be some movement towards peace, are we talking about a UN presence? Are we talking about an international presence to provide security for the Palestinians? We have about a little more than a minute and 45 seconds. What are we talking about in terms of security for the people while 80 or 50 million tons of concrete, rebar, and mortar is moved? Either one of you, please.
Maybe PL will start and then I will finish.
PL?
Yeah.
Right. So the thing is this: security. The Israelis always talk about security. They are the aggressors, but they have this victimhood mentality, saying, no, we are the victim. We're killing the Palestinians, but we are the victims. And that's the kind of security scenario that we are saying. And nobody from the noble United States or the Western countries, apart from, say, Spain and a few others, are saying anything to call this into question. Where is the safety and the security? The United Nations was built on the ashes of World War II to provide peace and security for peoples across the world, so that we will not go into a situation that we saw during World War II, where people were simply slaughtered by the Nazis and the fascists in Italy. So that is the fulcrum of all of this. Who is going to guarantee peace, safety, and security for the Palestinian peoples?
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Dr. Ania Dakak and Dr. Peel De Silva are going to join me for another segment or two in the next hour. I'm particularly grateful that they're here today on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. It's Wealthy Wednesdays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. More on KBLA Talk 1580. Come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
On
Amber Payton with BIN News Now. Black Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson says recent violent crimes on CTA trains show more focus needed on public safety despite an overall decline in transit violence.
These movements certainly provide us with that much more motivation to ensure that there's a holistic approach.
His comments follow the deadly stabbing of a sleeping passenger on a train. The Chicago Transit Authority now faces a mid-March deadline to submit an improved safety plan or risk losing federal funding. The NAACP is accusing President Trump of misleading the public about civil rights history. Trump told the New York Times the Civil Rights Act led to, quote, reverse discrimination, end quote. NAACP President Derek Johnson pushed back, saying there's no evidence the civil rights movement harmed white Americans. And a judge has dismissed Chris Brown's $500 million lawsuit over a documentary on his alleged violent past. The judge ruled the producers of Chris Brown: A History of Violence followed journalistic standards. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
In East LA on the 710 southbound before you get to the 5, got that crash cleared into the center divider area. In South LA on the 110 north, right at Adams Boulevard, we've got a new accident making its way over to the right shoulder. San Dimas, 57 northbound before you get to Arrow Highway, disabled big rig blocking the right lane. And in Riverside, 91 eastbound before you get to Central, got a new accident making its way to the shoulder.
The Crohn's and Colitis Foundation has been at the forefront of inflammatory bowel disease research and care for over 50 years. Learn more about research, education, and support at Crohn'sColitisFoundation.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Two Rams assistant coaches reportedly are the first coaches to get interview requests from the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are the 9th NFL team looking for a new head coach after Mike Tomlin announced his resignation Tuesday morning. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, the Steelers have asked for permission to talk with Rams passing game coordinator Nate Shellhouse and defensive coordinator Chris Shula. Both coaches are busy this week preparing for the Rams playoff game Sunday at Chicago. Tomlin is the most successful African-American head coach in NFL history. His 201 victories in 19 seasons with the Steelers are the third most wins for an NFL head coach since 2007. The two guys ahead of Tomlin are former New England coach Bill Belichick and Kansas City coach Andy Reid. Tomlin led the Steelers to a Super Bowl win in 2008 and 8 AFC North titles. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580. Tired of the same old sports talk? Ready to go where the real conversation happens? Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, host of Out of Bounds, the sports show that doesn't play it safe. Every Friday at 6 p.m. on KBLA Talk 1580, my co-host Neil Scarborough and I get you ready for the weekend. We take you beyond the highlight reels and into the stories that matter. The controversial calls, the game-changing plays, the athletes making headlines for all the right reasons and sometimes the wrong ones. From the NFL to the NBA, college ball to the pros, if it's happening in sports, we're breaking it down with no filter and all opinion. Tune in to Out of Bounds with me, Ray Richardson, and my co-host Neil Scarborough, live every Friday at 6 p.m. only on KBLA Talk 1580, because the best conversations happen out of bounds. KBLA Talk 1580, where Los Angeles talks.
Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. Been having a fascinating conversation about the state of Palestinian people in the Gaza. Our very special guest has been Dr. Hania Dakak, head of Policy and Liaison Unit with the United Nations Population Fund Humanitarian Office. Dr. Dakak provides UNFPA country and regional offices with advice on policy coordination and technical support related to humanitarian preparedness, emergency response, disaster risk reduction, recovery, and resilience. Her goal and role is to advance the gender equality to promote sexual and reproductive health and rights, including menstrual health, mental health, and psychosocial support to prevent and respond to gender-based violence issues in humanitarian settings. Dr. DeCock, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, Jesse. I'm so glad to be with you today.
You know, in the first hour, we talked about some of the difficulties of pregnancies within the Gaza and the circumstances under which children are born into the world under those particular circumstances. I can only imagine that the ability to deliver mental health services to women who are struggling with difficult pregnancies and the trauma of war itself must be its own unique challenge. I can imagine in this moment that mental health services are probably the very last available services given the urgent need for other critical care in the maternal process. Dr. DeCock?
Yeah, the reality of the matter, yes, mental health and psychosocial support has been needed in Gaza for many years. There has been a lot of work on mental health and psychosocial support because of, this is a generational trauma. This is not just yesterday trauma, okay? It's not 2023 trauma. It's a trauma since 1948 going onward. So it's a generational trauma. We talk about it really, like you are talking about people who are born in refugee camps and, they have to survive on a daily basis and really be able to grow and rebuild and have families. So it's not an easy situation. Currently, mental health is number one needed. Plus, maternal health is very needed. Everything is needed at the moment. Like you are talking about also, bad water and sanitation situation where a lot of waterborne diseases are happening and infections because of lack of sanitation. And these are the situation that a lot of the children, the newborns are facing. If you don't have clean water, what are you going? And it's the only water that you could have is the seawater. Otherwise, there is no other water coming, like clean water into Gaza. So it's very difficult to really understand that when you don't have electricity, you don't have water, you don't have universities, schools, medical health care, it taxes mentally everybody. You know what I mean? It's like 80% of mental health issues is daily life issues. If you improve the situation, a lot of people could improve. But if doesn't happen, then these people are going to really suffer post-traumatic syndrome. A lot of children couldn't sleep. They have nightmares, bedwetting. You name it. A lot of women have a lot of depressions that we are dealing with, a lot of stress and depression, and so a lot of people are suffering. Elderly, there is a lot of children who have been unaccompanied at the moment because their family members have died, and there is nobody else to take care of them. Plus, they might be also injured on top of that. So I think this is not the first time that there is these type of attacks. 2018 there was another one in 2009. There was several of these type of situation where Gaza was attacked and people were bombed in their houses, and many families actually have just been whipped out of the civil registry. They are not there anymore because they have just died. We are talking about more than 71,000 that have died because of the war, but we are not talking about the numbers that are dying because of the unhealthy conditions that they are living in. So that's another thing that we really need to understand, that people are dying also from infections, people are dying from hypothermia, people are dying from different things because of the conditions that they are living in. So you are not talking about only the 71,000 that were wounded and died. Like the 71 died because of shrapnels, bombs, and all of that. But we also are talking about people who are dying because there is no medical care available at the moment to them.
Dr. Lecoq, let me, I know that we're going to be coming forward in about 30 seconds, and so that's our way of saying that we have a break here on KBLA Talk 1580. But who speaks for the people of the Gaza?
It's again, nobody is listening to the people of Gaza who basically were on social media. They were speaking about what is happening to them on a daily basis. The UN is speaking about what is happening on a daily basis. The civil society, the international civil society who have been witnessing, who have actually been on the ground in Gaza, they are witnessing and they are talking about what is happening to the Gaza people. I think the UN has spoken so many times about the situation in Gaza, but nobody is listening at the moment. Also, Israel has banned a lot of the UN, like not only the UN agency, but the international NGOs also from non-governmental organizations.
Dr. Lecoq, when we come forward, we'll have more discussions on the conditions of the Palestinians in the Gaza and in the West Bank. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Listen to Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
After nearly 20 years in Congress, he knows how to get at the issues that matter the most to you. Every day, he takes a deep dive into politics, social justice, and the stories that shape our community. This is where prominent people unpack perplexing problems. Unfiltered, unapologetic, unmissable. You're inside the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580.
Are you drowning in IRS tax debt? Angela was. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $80,000. Felicia was having health problems, got behind on her taxes, interest and penalties were adding up. She called Civic Tax Relief and saved over $15,000. Civic Tax Relief is a professional tax negotiation firm that can protect you from the IRS. If you're getting collection letters, call Civic Tax Relief for a free consultation. They will go to work helping you discover all the relief programs you may qualify for free. James owed the IRS $37,000. Civic Tax Relief represented him against the IRS, and by the time everything was completed, he did not owe the IRS anything. If you are in trouble with the IRS, call Civic Tax Relief for your free consultation now. 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257. Get a free consultation and real tax relief. Call 800-200-2257. 800-200-2257.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is pleased to partner with the Empowerment Congress once again for their 34th annual summit. The summit's theme is From Vision to Action, a forum to unlock participatory democracy, and will feature a nonpartisan gubernatorial candidate forum focused on issues of importance to the African American community. The summit is the signature public policy-oriented observance of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy during the national 3-day holiday weekend that celebrates his life. This year's summit will be held on Saturday, January 17th, 2026 at the California Science Center in Exposition Park from 9 to 11 a.m. Admission is free, but registration is required at kbla1580.com. All major announced candidates for California governor for the Democratic and Republican Party nominations have been invited to participate in the candidate forum, which will be moderated by Tavis Smiley. An all-star panel of journalists will pose questions to the candidates, and the forum will be broadcast live on KBLA Talk 1580. This is going to be a big year for local, state, and national politics. The political pulse of 2026 beats on KBLA Talk 1580.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download the app.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Before joining the United Nations, Dr. Ania Dakak, in June of 2004, was the Director of Relief and Development Programs with International Medical Corps. She managed and developed technical aspect of service delivery programming to improve quality of care within IMC global programs and relief and development settings throughout Africa, Central Asia, the Middle East, Southeast Asia. She's also worked as technical advisor for the Reproductive Health in Conflict Consortium. Dr. Dakak, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, Jesse.
And I know that we're in a little bit of a challenge with the siren that's in the background. But I can
Yes,
understand.
the sirens of New York.
So I did want to ask you, and this is our final segment, and I'm so grateful that you were able to stay with us. From your perspective, other than the United Nations, are there other partners around the world that are stepping up to address the humanitarian crisis that exists in the Gaza and in the West Bank?
Thank you. Yes, there are a lot of international non-governmental organizations that has worked in Palestine, in Gaza, West Bank, and East Jerusalem for many years, for many decades. I can name few of them: CARE International, International Rescue Committee, International Medical Corps, Project Hope. You know, there are Oxfam, Catholic Relief Services. All of them are part and parcel of the international community that existed and still exists in Palestine. Although recently, there was an order to really not provide authorization for international non-governmental organization to work in Palestine, in the West Bank, and in Gaza and East Jerusalem. So this is something that was, like sort of a ban of international organization from really working and supporting the Palestinian community to really survive the situation that they are living under at the moment. So it's very important that the international community continue to be present, especially like the non-governmental organization, to be present and be able to see what's going on and be also the eyes and ears for the Palestinian people in Gaza, West Bank, and Jerusalem. So, and East Jerusalem, these are still, East Jerusalem, although it was annexed by Israel, it's still, not considered an Israeli territory by international community. It's still contested area. And never, like the issue of Jerusalem have never been resolved at all. So I think this is very, very important issue that still people don't, understand that there are a Palestinian community in Jerusalem that has at the moment not a lot of support also from the international community. If these organizations stop being there and active in providing support. So I think we need the international community to continue being in Gaza, West Bank, and Jerusalem.
I'd like to take this opportunity to share just a little bit of my family's history in this conflict. My mother was a close and dear friend of the late Anwar Sadat, the late president of Egypt.
Egypt, yes.
And even when I was a member of Congress, I spent a number of trips meeting with Hosni Mubarak, the successor to Anwar Sadat in Egypt, and worked very closely with the Foreign Operations Committee, the House Appropriations Committee, with their security services as well. But when my mother met with Yasser Arafat in the late 70s,
yes,
he shared with her that he was willing to talk with the Israelis.
Definitely.
My mother returned to the United States. She met with her close and dear friend, whom she had the privilege of marching with in the late 60s, Andrew Young, who Jimmy Carter had appointed to the UN Security Council as ambassador to the United Nations. During this particular cycle, he was president of the Security Council. He met with my mother. And my mother shared with him her good friend, Andy. She said, Andy, listen, you need to talk to the Palestinians because they're willing to talk with the Israelis. Andy Young, as president of the Security Council, clearly within his rights as president of the Security Council, had a private meeting with Palestinian leadership. And he was fired by President Jimmy Carter for having that meeting. And the firing of Andy Young led to a rift between African Americans and Jewish people that is a fact, even until this day, that the most prominent African American, the most promising disciple of Martin Luther King Jr., who would later, of course, go on to become a congressman and the mayor of Indiana, could be fired by the mayor of Atlanta, by the former governor of Georgia, in the capacity as president of the United Nations. And so African Americans have directly and indirectly been involved in the conflict for a number of years. I, as a member of Congress, to work with Ariel Sharon. I also worked with Benjamin Netanyahu. I spent a significant amount of time in the West Bank with Saeb Erekat,
Saeb Erekat, yes.
as well as other Palestinian leadership and chief negotiators on behalf of the two-state solution. And so these aren't just policy prescriptions. These are between, I know myself, but certainly Anea and P.L. Da Silva. We are long-standing negotiators for peace in the region. That isn't just a function of where do you stand on this, where do you stand on that. No, we've been there for 40 years and longer. We've been part of a broad discussion. And some of that discussion, of course, here domestically in the United States, India, would lead to relationship building, growth, and even challenges between Blacks and Jewish people here in the United States, laying the foundation for, better and broader relationships in the tradition of Martin Luther King Jr. and Abraham Heschel, Rabbi Abraham Heschel, who marched with Dr. King in the Deep South. And so there is a kinship that we have with both Global Jewry, in that we both exited a slave system. Of course, they exited a pharaonic slave system, let my people go, and we exited a slave system too. Amend the Constitution of the United States because these states wouldn't let us out of the peculiar institution of slavery. We share so much in common. But we also share in the self-determination and the rights of the Palestinian people to be able to live free, to have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I felt compelled to share that little bit of history, Anea, because it is who we are. It is ingrained in who we are. And Palestinian babies and mothers should not be suffering at this hour. Anea, let me ask you this question before we shut down our program. We have about 6 minutes remaining with you on the program, and we close at there's a hard stop at the 30. Can you share with us the hope that you have for the Palestinian people in the next, let's say, 5 minutes?
Yes, I think every Palestinian across the globe, you know, and I'm talking about, you know, Palestinians who are currently in Gaza, Palestinians who are currently in the West Bank, in Jerusalem, in the refugee camps in Jordan, Lebanon, and in refugee camps of Syria, and in the diaspora. Okay, we are talking about, you know, the refugees, like 5.9 million refugees, Palestinian refugees in the diaspora, and they all, you know, I mean, of course, the numbers is more than that across the globe, but I think everybody wants peace. They want self-determination. They want also the ability to have the freedom to decide for themselves and not anybody deciding on their behalf. I think that's very important. And also, you know, like blaming the Palestinian for everything that happened to the Jewish people. This is absolutely ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's not that the Palestinian are the instigator of what happened to the Jews during Second World War II. We all know and we sympathize, you know what I mean, about what happened, and nobody wants to see another Second World War II happening, and we don't want to see another, you know, a genocide happening in the world. And I think what we want is also for us, you know what I mean, to be able to live freely, return to our homes, be able to rebuild our lives, or to be, you know, some sort of reparation, because, you know, like, this is not going to go away. You know, these people are not going to go away. We are existing. We have a voice, and we are a people of this world. We have the same rights as everybody. This is part of the UN Human Rights Charter. We have the right to decide for ourselves. And at the moment, we are not being able to decide for ourselves. And people are deciding on our behalf on a daily basis. You know, the peace process, you know, where is the peace process? It's almost dead, okay? It's almost dead. Like the two-state solution, it never been, you know, I mean, implemented. And it wasn't because of the Palestinians that wasn't implemented. So I think what we need, you know, I mean, is really a comprehensive new narrative of peace and reconciliation. As you have said, Jesse, you know, we have to come together. There is no, like, this is one land that basically has to have the two people living together. There is no other alternatives. There is no other alternatives except to have peace. Over.
You know, Ani, I think about the I really appreciate what you said. I think the trauma between both sides has been so great for so long, and so difficult, that I even shared with Prime Minister Netanyahu that I wish there were some way that students could be exchanged on both sides of the border, so that a new generation could enjoy themselves socially and culturally, and engage not in a segregated across the fence relationship, but a spiritually integrated relationship, where we play soccer together, and baseball together, and
have the same rights, you know,
Yeah,
have the same rights.
but it may have to start incrementally with a generation that isn't as hardened as some of the professionals, some of the older generations that have experienced so much trauma together. I'm just talking about, there's so many things that my son, when he talks to me at 22 years old, I'm like, what are you talking about? And then he calls, his friends call me Unc. I'm like, Unc, I'm not an old man. I mean, when did that start? When did that start? So there's like a world that they understand that is not our own. And I almost don't want to share with them the mistakes that we've made, when they are a lot less wed to the idea of the way their parents felt or thought. They've gone to school with Jewish students. They've gone to school with Palestinians and Arab Americans. They're a lot less hung up on some of the stuff that our parents are hung up on. And I wish there were this environment where there were trust built amongst a generation of people who are willing to build it in the space, in safe spaces. And I don't know if that's all the way possible, but Ania, I'm so grateful that you spent this hour with us on the hour and a half with us on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you. Thank you. And I am glad to be with you all. Thank you. Thank you
I hope
so
that
much.
you'll come back and join us some other time.
Yes,
Hania,
I will do.
Dr. Hania Dakak
Thank
has been our very special guest for the last hour and a half. More on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show when we come forward on KBLA Talk.
Thank you.
It's afternoon drive time with Jesse Jackson Jr. Only on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. No clemency for Black Oklahoma death row inmate Kendrick Simpson.
I don't make any excuses. I don't blame others, and they didn't deserve what happened to them.
The State Pardon and Parole Board voted 3-2 to deny his request, clearing the way for his February 12th execution. Simpson apologized to the victims' families during a hearing, saying he was remorseful for the 2006 Oklahoma City shooting that killed 2 men after an altercation outside a club. Articles of impeachment have been filed against Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Congresswoman Robin Kelly says Noem mishandled the Trump administration's immigration crackdown and blocked congressional oversight of ICE facilities. And Washington, D.C. could receive nearly $200 million under a new congressional spending bill, including $90 million for public safety at major events. Black D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser is also asking lawmakers to add another $10 million to cover recent federal law enforcement costs. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
In Claremont on the 210 westbound right after Town Avenue, we got a 4-car rollover accident. The 3 right lanes are going to be blocked. In Santa Clarita on the 14 northbound right at Newhall Avenue, that off-ramp is going to be blocked with a new accident. In West LA, it's a SIG alert 405 southbound after Wilshire Boulevard. The 2 right lanes are blocked. Told you about this rollover accident. It's stop and go from Sepulveda Boulevard.
Got issues with youth or high school sports? Positive Coaching Alliance can help. PCA, a national nonprofit, offers more than 1,000 free online resources for youth and high school sports coaches, parents, students, and administrators. Visit PCADevZone.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Two Rams assistant coaches reportedly are the first coaches to get interview requests from the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers are the 9th NFL team looking for a new head coach after Mike Tomlin announced his resignation Tuesday morning. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, the Steelers have asked for permission to talk with Rams passing game coordinator Nate Shellhouse and defensive coordinator Chris Shula. Both coaches are busy this week preparing for the Rams playoff game Sunday at Chicago. Tomlin is the most successful African-American head coach in NFL history. His 201 victories in 19 seasons with the Steelers are the 3rd most wins for an NFL head coach since 2007. The 2 guys ahead of Tomlin are former New England coach Bill Belichick and Kansas City coach Andy Reid. Tomlin led the Steelers to a Super Bowl win in 2008 and 8 AFC North titles. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580. Tired of the same old sports talk? Ready to go where the real conversation happens? Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, host of Out of Bounds, the sports show that doesn't play it safe. Every Friday at 6 p.m. on KBLA Talk 1580, my co-host Neil Scarborough and I get you ready for the weekend. We take you beyond the highlight reels and into the stories that matter. The controversial calls, the game-changing plays, the athletes making headlines for all the right reasons and sometimes the wrong ones. From the NFL to the NBA, college ball to the pros, if it's happening in sports, we're breaking it down with no filter and all opinion. Tune in to Out of Bounds with me, Ray Richardson, and my co-host Neil Scarborough, live every Friday at 6 p.m. only on KBLA Talk 1580, because the best conversations happen out of bounds. KBLA Talk 1580, where Los Angeles talks.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley, drop the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. KBLA Talk 1580. Download.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. It's Wealthy Wednesdays on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. And before I bring up our next guest, in case you're wondering why your text messages are not working, it's because Verizon is out over large parts of the country. That's why your text messages are coming back. That's why your cell phone may not be working. And you might be asking yourself, did they receive my check, or did they pay the bill, or did they withdraw the money from my account? No, they down. And that's like to leave us naked in the wintertime, because we can't text, we can't call, we can't see what's going on in the world, including our live news programming. And so I want to let you know that's exactly what's happening with your phone. Verizon is having a kind of power or system outage at this hour, and I want to bring that to everyone's attention. Our very special guest in this hour is Mike Worldwide PR alum John Diggles, who serves as CEO and founder of Ascent Strategies. He's not here yet, but when he does come, he will have already been introduced, providing services in digital transformation, corporate storytelling, employer brand strategy, marketing or clinical research, and return on investment measurement. The agency's IP uses proprietary communications algorithms, combining online community insights with medical professionals' perspectives, patient observations, and market data to promote adoption, telemedicine, remote patient monitoring, and healthcare artificial intelligence, among other offerings. When John Diggles comes onto the program, we're going to talk about a little bit of that, but a lot more than that. John has one of the best and brightest minds in the public relations space, bar none. And he's using and maximizing technology to get that done. But I'm particularly honored in this hour, even though I don't think she's turned up her microphone on the Roadcaster, the producer and creator of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Tina Towns, welcome forward to the show.
Oh, Jesse, it's only Wednesday. What am I doing here?
I know it's supposed to be Fat Meat Fridays, but it can be Fat Meat Wednesdays. A lot of fat meat in the last 90 minutes, though, Gina.
I understand. Oh, my God, there has been, for sure.
I'm completely taken aback by the humanitarian crisis that's taking place in that part of the world. But under the Trump regime, there's probably going to be a humanitarian crisis taking place in almost every country in the world if he has his say, because he's destabilizing, as Dr. DeCock said, he's destabilizing all of the norms in systems, not only in South America, trying to destabilize Nigeria, threatening Cuba and Colombia, meeting today with the foreign minister and the prime minister of Greenland. And even though the United States has provided significant security for the state of Israel, by the way, which the state of Israel does need, it does need to be secure. There is now an open discussion about what the president of the United States is committing himself to do in Iran in light of the more than 2,400 protesters who have been killed or murdered by the regime. Many have suggested that regime change in Iran would have a profound impact on global stability, particularly in the Middle East, because Iran is that kind of terror state that sponsors terror in other parts of the world, but also in friendly neighbors to Iran, other Arab countries in the Middle East. And, good riddance. If the democracy or the form of government that the people ultimately choose in Iran is of, for, and by them, if they're good with it, if they're good with the preservation of rights for women, if they're good with the preservation of human rights, good riddance. But the idea that, Gina, some kind of Ayatollah is over the system and his religious values are being imposed on everybody, I mean, I find that deeply troubling. I always have found it deeply troubling, Gina.
I mean, one has to wonder. I mean, can I just get any values from these people out here? I mean, just doggone all over the world. People are just all over the place. It's like little ants that are just scurrying everywhere, chasing, the next piece of cornbread. I am lost for words for where the human heart is to see people well-fed, educated, in good health. What you guys just discussed in the last hour and a half was actually disgusting. To even think about the fact that in Gaza, for people who have been displaced and driven out of their homeland for decades now, are suffering still, and no bomb is dropping. It is that there's dysentery. It is that mothers are bleeding to death in childbirth, and that children are starving, and that they are orphans. It's really unconscionable. And I don't know at which point, because I did ask the question in the chat, who is going to speak out? Where are the major news organizations? I think it's lost a little bit in the news cycle because so many things are happening around the world. But I do think that we have to stop and deal with this.
I 2 million people. I was shocked by the number that there are more Palestinians in the global diaspora than in the Gaza Strip. That she said something about 5.5 million people, so 2 million in the Gaza. 3.5 million people are in camps that range from Syria to Lebanon to other parts of the world. I was thinking about when I was in elementary school, I had a friend. I was in the 5th grade, and I remember staying at a friend. I want to think his name was Shahari or Shari. Maybe one of my elementary school classmates who listened to the program will call me. Anyway, he lived in Prairie Shores. And I stayed at his home one night, and I didn't quite understand, because again, I was in the 5th grade, why we were eating around a kind of pillow, and there was lamb and there was rice and our legs were folded, and I really appreciated the cultural experience. And he had on, and I know this now, but I didn't know it then, he had on a Palestinian scarf. I know this now, but I didn't know this in the 5th grade. But the reality is his family were refugees from the conflict in the Middle East. They were refugees, and they were at John J. Pershing Elementary School in my 4th and 5th grade class before I left and went to Le Mans Military Academy. And it occurs to me that's my first interaction with someone who understood the crisis. And, you know, he was very worldly for his age because he had been through it. And he was trying to convince me that I didn't truly understand all that his people were going through. And he wasn't wrong. In the 5th grade, I mean, I thought I knew. We were fighting the power.
I understand.
Back in the day, in the 5th grade, I thought, you don't know Mandela.
We had a little dot over here.
But it wasn't what he was going through.
Absolutely,
it was not that.
But you know what? Here, as a child, and some people may remember this, there was the Bible that people had in their house, the one that you kept at home. You didn't take it to church; it just sat there. And my parents had one of those, and it had maps that you pulled out. And I remember clear as day seeing Palestine, and I remember understanding that it was no longer Palestine.
Isn't that something? I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to Gina Towns. It's not Fat Meat Fridays. It is Wealthy Wednesdays. And I'm so grateful that the creator of the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show is joining us. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr.
While you're stuck in traffic, we can at least bring you up to speed on the news of the day. You're listening to Jesse Jackson Jr. only on KBLA Talk 1580.
Unwrap LA this winter with Metro. Whether you're heading to a family gathering or last-minute shopping, Metro's got you. Enjoy free rides across Metro on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. Move with joy. Move with community this holiday season. Go Metro.
My ride smells just right, just right, just right, just right.
Y'all gotta try that Febreze car.
Just right, just right, just right. Yeah. La 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 la. With up to 40 days of consistency. All over Febreze car clips right on your vent. You know my car's my happy place. Keep that smile on my face. When it smells just right, just right, just right. Yeah. Breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
Not everything announces itself. Some things simply arrive, and the room is compelled to adjust. This is grooming without apology, without noise, without compromise. Gods and money, organic formulations, clean precision, crafted for skin that does not ask for permission to be felt. Element Cream, a rare hydration layered like an oud at dusk, measured, enduring, unmistakably masculine, moisturizing oil, a quiet revolution, restoring what stress, climate, and time attempts to claim. This is not skincare. It is composure made visible. It is inevitability. Gods and money exist impeccably. Discover the ritual at godsandmoney.com. That's Gods and Money, MONY.com.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Now back to more of Jesse Jackson Jr. on KBLA Talk 1580.
The Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. 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 King Volley drops the beat. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me. Come on and talk with me. Come on and listen to me.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. And our regular contributor on Wealthy Wednesdays is none other than Dr. S. Todd Yeary. He's just in time to give us a mini sermon on our way at the top of the hour. Dr. Yeary, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. I think your phone might be muted, but I think you're here with us now. Hey, Dr. Yeary.
I am here with you, just getting off of an airplane, and I figured I'd catch you so I could do my mini sermon.
It's all yours, sir. It's
He
all
got
yours.
the heavens behind him. I'm sure he's gonna break the in
He knows the routine.
Yeah, look, either I think that's the heavens, or it could be a cloud. But you know, with all that's going on, I can only imagine what the discussion has been today with where things are. You know, the real question I think that confronts us is, how do we avoid becoming so discouraged as to become paralyzed? And this is where I think we have to remember not only who we are, but who our creator is. And that in that intentional plan to make us uniquely who we are is a sense of resilience and resistance that is actually just a part of our spiritual DNA, and probably our actual DNA too, if we were actually look at it. But there's a passage Paul writes in one of the letters to Thessalonians. There's nothing that happens to us that is not uncommon to the human experience. Human frailty, human selfishness, human sensitivity leaves room for all kinds of abuses, as we see. But we have to remember, and this is what your father always told us, you know, God is faithful. God is faithful. Having bid farewell to Claudette Colvin, who in her own unique way, as a teenager, started the momentum. God is faithful. And with whatever the challenge might be, God gives us the ability to not only withstand it, but to outlast it. And so we'll come through this, whatever this is, however long it lasts, whatever it takes, because we are who we are, and because we are whose we are. In the end, we're going to be just fine. In the meantime, don't be discouraged. Let's stay focused on the real work that must be done.
Dr. Yeary, I'm amazed at how you go back to the source of your faith in the midst of an era, if you will, of discouragement. You go to the well to seek something that is extraordinary in the spirit realm, to propel you to look at the day differently, to look at the week differently, to look at time differently, and to accept the moment for what it is. But somewhere in there is this grain of this mustard seed, this seed of hope that propels the ministry, that propels your life, and that propels the work forward. To the extent that you can you share with us the source of that energy, the source of that seed that you water, that needs nourishment, that propels what you do forward?
Well, I'll say it the way I do with all of my messages. I invite people to, wherever they are, find a well-lit room, and in that space, find a big, bright, clear, clean mirror, a bright, clear glass. If they have to look at their reflection in the coffee table glass, in the window pane, the reflection in the appliances, the compact in their purse, wherever they can see themselves, wherever you can see you, appreciate what you see. Because if you take a good look at your reflection, you will find that there is intimate and intricate detail to the plan of the creator to make you uniquely who you are.
Wow.
And so don't just look at the things that appear to be out of place. Pay attention to the color and texture of your hair, the smoothness of your skin, the color and shape of your eyes, the fullness of your lips, the shape of your nose, all of those things that make you identifiably and recognizably different than anybody else. The one thing that I know anyone can do is to be the most authentic version of themselves, more so than trying to be a poor imposter of somebody else. But here's what I also know, is that what you see in your reflection is your appearance, but inside of you is a spark of the divine that gives you your essence, the drive that you have for life, the dreams that you have for your own purpose, the fulfillment of your destiny. And so if we don't lose sight of the inner workings, the fire that burns within, we'll be just fine. And so I check to make sure that I've got fresh wood on the fire every morning. Some days it's a little more difficult than others, but there's got to be a burn, a deep yearning that allows us to overcome the difficulties of the moment and make a difference in the world.
Gina?
Well, certainly God has been using you, Dr. Erie, to stretch me in my level of patience, because I was nervous about you.
Oh Lord. say it ain't so.
But seriously, but on a serious note, that was just so well stated, eloquent in its expression. But that's not the norm for so many people, because the world tells us something different when we look into the mirror and when we try to look within, and then we go out and face the world. And I think that's the importance of taking time, as you just talked about, in the morning for a reflection of heart as well. There's the reflection that you see in the mirror before you leave in the morning, but even before you go look in that mirror, sometimes you might need to do some heart reflection. And you talked about a source, and that source is light, and it is love, and it teaches us. I mean, it's taken me a long time. It took me 40 years to really be in true acceptance of what I saw in the mirror or how I felt about myself. And that is a journey for people. And I pray that everybody is willing to take it. And through your guidance, and one of the reasons you are a host on this show, and through Jesse's leadership and Tavis's leadership, hopefully we're able to guide people there on, because all of us are on the journey.
It's a real journey, but culturally we are conditioned to try to imitate and emulate. We don't get a lot of training on how to develop a level of authenticity and confidence in the incompleteness of who we are. And so many times we find ourselves frustrated because we're actually living according to somebody else's agenda. And until we find our sense of self, until we find confidence in being okay with taking on, say, James Weldon Johnson's poem, The Creation, and reading that and understanding that this great God, like a mammy swooning over her baby, scooped out of the earth, right? That dirt that gives us our tan, our reflection, the melanin that flows, that the sun activates, that even in the wintertime, we're able to make sure that we don't lose a sense of not only how we look, but how we move. We've got to recognize that there's a uniqueness here. And if we can embrace it, even though it is under attack, it's under a real attack again, but we have to remember, if he did it once, he'll do it again. We're going to be just fine.
Gina, some closing thoughts in our minute and 30 seconds that we have remaining before the top of the hour.
Well, first, thank you, Dr. Erie. I know that you were in the courtroom today, but we see that you couldn't get out fast enough and off that airplane and out of the skies fast enough to give us a word of hope. And so thank you. Certainly, this is a midweek to get us over the hump.
Glad to do it.
I'm particularly grateful, Dr. Yuri, that you sacrificed. You know, you didn't have to come today, and we're so grateful that you did give us this extraordinary time. We count on that to get us through our weeks because it's a long slog sometime. We start out very spiritually and bring the week in with none other than Terry Hord Owens, and then we move in the general direction of Liz King and Tenacious Tuesdays with Barbara Arnwine. But we need that little shove to get through the rest of the week from Dr. Todd Yuri, and I'm so grateful to call him my friend, our spiritual advisor, and someone whose contribution to this show continues to just give more life to all of us. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, it will be on Thursday. Our very special guest, Johnny Mack, will be with us in the second hour. More when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica,